This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. We end today's show in California, where community organizers demanding justice for 52-year-old Carlos Roberto Montoya, a father and grandfather from Guatemala, who was struck and killed on the freeway as he tried to escape federal ICE agents during a raid at a Home Depot in Monrovia last week. Montoya had lived in the U.S. for about 3 years. He was a day laborer who worked to support his wife, 4 daughters, and grandchildren in Guatemala. On Thursday, Democracy Now! Producer María reached Montoya's eldest daughter, Ana Victoria, and his wife of 35 years, Ana María Vásquez, who spoke to Democracy Now! From their home in Guatemala, sitting in front of an altar with flowers, candles, and 2 photos of Carlos Roberto Montoya.
La última llamada que tuvimos que fue justo.
The last call I had with my dad was Wednesday at 11 at night, the day before he died. And he told me, things are rough here. It is getting harder here. I just need to make a little bit more money so that I can go back to Guatemala. He was planning on coming back, but he was struggling with making enough money to make his dream come true of having his own business so that he could support us here. We want people to remember my dad in the same way we will remember him, as a loving, respectful, brave man. He died because he was afraid. He died because of these injustices, this persecution. I want him to be remembered as a brave and hardworking man. Sadly, he didn't have enough time to fulfill his dreams, and we are left with a double sorrow. We are left with the void of not having him anymore, of not having his love, his advice, and we are left here with the anguish of not knowing how we will get by. He was the main provider for us, for his grandchildren. This photo is from when he was waiting for work. He would chat with his friends and they would take photos of each other to pass the time. And the other photo up there is of him at work. He was afraid of heights, but he had to do it. He needed the money.
The people who know him, they know he was a light. Everywhere he went, he would bring his grandchildren. From the oldest to the youngest, he loved them all the same.
Carlos Roberto Montoya's wife, Ana María Vásquez, and his eldest daughter, Ana Victoria, speaking to Democracy Now!'s María from their home in Guatemala. Carlos Roberto Montoya's death comes as federal immigration raids have increasingly targeted immigrant workers and day laborers, with activists condemning companies like Home Depot over their complicity. Montoya is at least the 2nd immigrant that we know of who's been killed during a raid in recent months. 57-year-old Jaime Alanis died after he fell from a roof of a greenhouse during a ICE raid at a California farm last month. In a statement to the Los Angeles Times, Homeland Security officials said Montoya had not been chased by any federal agent during the raid. Activists dispute those claims. For more, we're joined by Pablo Avarado, a co-executive director of the National Day Laborer Organizing Network, joining us from Pasadena, California. Pablo, welcome back to Democracy Now! Explain what you understand exactly happened.
Good morning, Amy. Thank you for having me in your program again. First of all, I want to let the family of Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez, the day laborers, the migrant community is mourning the death of Roberto Carlos, and we send our love, our solidarity, and our deepest condolences to them. When I arrived there, I saw officers of the California Highway Patrol interviewing people, doing an investigation of what had happened this morning, that particular morning. There were different narratives by the day laborers saying that he was indeed chased by these individuals into the freeway, and there were others who were saying that he was not being chased. So we don't really know the truth about what happened that day. We have asked, in fact, our legal director, and I'm not going to mention names on national TV, but our legal director has been in direct contact with the office of Governor Newsom and the office of the Attorney General, Bonta. The office of Mr. Bonta told us that they weren't aware of an investigation, and that they couldn't even give us the name within the California Highway Patrol so that we can talk to them about how that investigation is going. In the case of the office of Governor Newsom, they told us that the fact that he ran into the freeway made things a little more difficult. We asked why, and the answer was, well, because he was running away from ICE. But when we pushed back and we said, well, who was it that did the raid? Was it the DEA? Was it the FBI? The U.S. Marshals? Who was it? Was it bounty hunters, or simply racist vigilantes? They didn't know who had actually carried out the raid that day. So at this point, Amy, we don't really know what happened, and that's why we are demanding that both the office of the governor and the office of the Attorney General carries out a full investigation, and potentially a criminal investigation if it was indeed a fact that Roberto Carlos was being chased by an individual into the highway. The community, the family needs to know the truth, and we need to, most of all, bring justice.
Pablo, we only have a minute. What about the responsibility of Home Depot, where so many of these raids are taking place? And what's the status of the court order by a federal judge temporarily blocking the Trump administration from conducting sweeping immigration raids and racially profiling people in Los Angeles?
Well, first, I like to respond to the question about the TRO. They're not respecting any TRO because these people feel that they are above the law. So there is no TRO that's protecting our communities. The temporary restraining order, yes. There's nothing. Even though the judge has issued one, they're not respecting it. And Home Depot has remained silent throughout this process, and there are things that they can do. First of all, you know, they have
we have 25
180 degree. We have 180 degree cameras at Home Depot. They could start by releasing that footage that they have if their cameras were on, and we're demanding that they condemn these raids.
Pablo, what are your list of demands right now, coming out of the death of Carlos? But wait a second. Pablo, what are your demands right now, coming out of the death of Carlos, but also beyond that?
Well, for the state government, we're demanding that there's a full investigation from both the office of the governor and the office of the Attorney General. From Home Depot, we want them to issue a full condemnation of these raids, to tell the truth about how these unidentified mass agents are violently, recklessly, and randomly targeting brown people. They're going not just after day labor, but anyone who looks Latino in their stores. Second, the CEO of Home Depot has so much power. Just last week, government officials in Florida were debating whether to name a detention center the deportation depot. Guess what? Home Depot didn't like it. They called it and they immediately dropped the name. When the president Trump was talking about tariffs at the beginning. The CEO called them, and of course, they pick up the phone because that's how powerful they are. Number three, we want to make sure that they keep people safe. They can lock down their stores just like anybody else does and keep their customers and workers safe inside every time that there is a raid. We want them to make sure they set clear rules, consistent protocols that are followed by their staff. As a private business, they have the right to deny access to anyone into their premises, unless they present a valid judicial warrant to justify an arrest. And number five is to help the victims, provide resources to the families that have been harmed by the raids within their property for needs like resources and legal representation, for instance. Release the videos. They have cameras all over. Show the video, show the footage so that people know the truth. And these are the demands that we have for Home Depot.
And beyond, if you can tell us whether the U.S. or Guatemala has stepped in to help the family of Mr. Montoya. The family wants his body repatriated so they can have a proper funeral for him in Guatemala.
Look, the fact that the state government were unaware that an investigation was taking place tells me how dysfunctional they are, because I saw the California Highway Patrol officers interviewing people in the place where the raid had happened that morning. We asked them who it was, and we waited for 48 hours, and it was actually the Guatemalan government that came and said, this is the name of the person who died. And we're talking about a person who died in the United States, not in Guatemala. So the government of Guatemala has assisted in that sense. They can obviously do more, and they can pressure the state government to step in and actually find out more details, do the full investigation, and release everything that they find, so that the community and the family knows what happened, and that there is justice for Roberto Carlos in this particular case. By the way, this is not the first person that dies because of ICE raids. We also remember Jaime Alanis in Oxnard, who also perished while fleeing during a raid. This is not the first time, and we're not going to stay quiet. If they believe that we're going to go away and that there's not going to be public pressure for a full investigation, then they are wrong. We're going to be there reminding them every day what their obligation is to bring justice to Roberto Carlos and his family and the day labor community.
We're going to do an interview in Spanish. We'll post it also at democracynow.org. Pablo Avarado, co-executive director of the National Day Labor Organizing Network, NDLON. And that does it for our show. A very happy birthday to Julie Crosby. I'm Amy Goodman. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. Thank you for... Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.